Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about cognitive dissonance. Well, it's a theory that came out of Stanford in 1959 with a scientist named Leon Festinger. He did an experiment where he had 71 psychology freshmen. An experiment. There were 71 total. That it was supposed to be an experiment on human performance. It was essentially a battery of just really boring tasks. I mean, tasks that they just went to all lengths to try and find the most boring things they could possibly find. Things like turning something 90 degrees and back 90 degrees, or moving things from wooden spools from one tray back to another tray, back and forth. Came in, they said, you know, you're going to have to do these tests, and then we'll have you answer a little quick question and answer session when it's over. Okay, so by the time they get to the quick question and answer session, there were only 60 left, and this is actually when the experiment really is beginning. So they divided the 60 into 3 groups of 20. The first group was told by someone when they came in that the tasks were really fun, and you know, it was really a great time and all kinds of exciting stuff to do before they started. The second group wasn't told that. In fact, they were told, we normally have someone who does that, but they couldn't come today, so we need you guys to do that, and for that we'll pay you $1. So will you tell the next incoming group that about how fun it is? And then the last group, they said, we will, same thing, the guy couldn't come, so we need you guys to tell them about how exciting and fun it is, and we'll pay you $20 to do it. Have them basically rate how really fun and exciting they found the tasks. So the first group basically just has to answer truthfully. They're just answering, you know, how interesting did you find the tasks? And on a scale from -5 up to +5. And they measured it just slightly below 0. The group that got paid $20, they answered basically about the same. But the group that was paid $1, on average, rated it at 1.5, 1.5, roughly. So it's a significant difference. And so this is where the theory of cognitive dissonance came out, because what it came down to was that the ones that had earned $20 doing it justified, you know, basically said, we said it because we got paid $20. But the ones that were only paid $1 didn't really have that justification. So they actually had to tell themselves it was more fun than it was, because they lied. Cognitive dissonance, it says there's a discomfort, there's a period of discomfort that happens when we don't act in accordance with our beliefs. And basically our beliefs about ourselves. When we do something that's not consistent with what we think about ourselves, it causes in us a dissonance, a discomfort. And so in an attempt to fix that discomfort, we have to change something. We have to change either our behavior, or we have to change our attitude, or our perception of ourselves. So cognitive dissonance theory is founded on the assumption that individuals will seek consistency. They'll seek consistency between their expectations of reality and reality. And this is particularly poignant when we're talking about ourselves, about our own identity. Well, my question, okay, so let me give you one more example before I ask the big question. So for instance, say you are wanting to diet, and you're saying you shouldn't eat donuts. And so you have the choice between, you can change your behavior, the cognition, I won't eat any more donuts, or you can justify it by changing your conflicting kind of, I'm allowed to cheat every once in a while, or you could justify it by adding a new cognition, I'll spend 30 extra minutes at the gym to work it off, or the last is you can deny the information that conflicts with your existing beliefs. So that donut's not high in fat, just not. Okay, and those of us who have dealt with these people, these character disorder people, have seen this. We have totally seen this. We've seen, well, of course, we've done it too, haven't we? We've been like, oh, he's not abusing me. oh no, he's just, stealing all my money or talking bad about me or cheating on me with somebody, having a baby with somebody else. He's not abusing me, we all do that because we want things to line up. And I know that depression, and my depression, especially my depression for sure, was caused by this cognitive dissonance, because what I believed was true about my world, about my family, about my marriage, about myself, was not playing out in my life, was not how things were going at all. And so I did a lot of that. Well, it must not be as bad as I'm thinking. I started not trusting myself, my own perceptions of it. And, I'm blowing things out of proportion and all that. And of course, I got lots of validation for doing that. Because, of course, disordered people are going to easily tell you that that's what you're doing as well. Because they're not going to take responsibility for anything. Okay, but what I'm curious about is something else. I'm curious about how many of you had this experience. Because I remember when all this played out for me, I thought to myself, well, my friends and family are misled. They've been duped by him. And as soon as I prove that, they're all going to be like enlightened, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. How could we have ever thought that? And it'll all be over, and it'll all be past, and I'll get my life back. That's what I thought. It wasn't what happened. What happened was, the more that someone did something against me, or the worse I was treated, and someone that was a friend of mine or a relative of mine allowed it to happen, knew about it and allowed it to happen, the more they jumped on board with saying I deserved it. The more they were then became, it kind of spearheaded them to slander me more, or to be even angrier at me. Because, and I'll tell you this was especially big with, for instance, my brother, my older brother, who wanted to think of him, thought of himself as a good guy, who thought of himself as, someone who was upstanding and was, protective of, his little sister, and he cared about family and was a real family sort of a guy. That's what he believed, and that's what he presented into the world about himself. Yet it didn't play out. That isn't what he was like. He was actually had some deep-seated resentments that he doesn't understand, and I have theories on where they came from. Well, basically what happened was, as I showed everybody that I was okay, they weren't that happy to see it. They didn't want me to be okay. Because it didn't go with what the story was. It didn't go with how they behaved. And so I was never allowed to be okay. I had to not be okay. And that's the way it was going to be. So I'm wondering how cognitive dissonance has affected any of you. Have you had an experience like that? Where, you thought, okay, this will be great. I'll prove myself, and they'll all see that it was wrong, and it'll all work itself out, and this will all be in the past. And then you do that, and lo and behold, the people you thought were duped weren't duped. They want to believe this. They want to believe that this thing was wrong with you. 'Cause, that's what happened to me, and it was just wild. It was really a huge shock, and I'm wondering if any of you have had an experience like that, where you've had this upfront and personal experience with cognitive dissonance, where the cognitive dissonance wasn't able to get cleared up, where they couldn't deal with confronting what they'd done, and so they had to keep it going. They perpetuated it, and they had to keep you back. You couldn't get better. You couldn't get better. You couldn't be okay. So please write to me and let me know if you've had a similar experience. I'd love to hear about it. It takes character to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, I was wrong. I was wrong. And then it takes a ton of character to go make it right, to go say, I am so sorry. I misjudged you. I was completely wrong. Please forgive me. It takes a lot of character to do that. And I, for one, have not had that happen to me. Not one person has done that to me. And I'm not holding my breath waiting for it to happen. But years ago, I totally thought it would. I thought, well, I thought it was so ridiculous. I thought what they were saying about me was so ridiculous. I didn't know how any of them could believe it. But I'm like, it'll all wash over. It'll all get back to normal in a minute, because they'll see that I'm my old self. They'll see that I'm fine. It never was. It never was fixed again. Told that way, even though it was totally not true, and I proved so in court and all that, it's still within my family, in my immediate community. It was stuck in cement. It became the story. Became the new history of the family. Cognitive dissonance. Please write me some comments. Tell me what you think about that. Subscribe, and please keep coming back. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.